In this video, we're going to discuss a little-known but crucial film for understanding the evolution of one of modern cinema's most influential directors, Stanley Kubrick. We will delve into the themes of fear and desire, its production context, and how it anticipates many elements that would later define Kubrick's prolific career. The film was partially self-financed with Kubrick's own funds and the help of his uncle, who gave Kubrick $9,000 in exchange for being credited as executive producer. Released in 1953, it was a commercial failure, but several critics praised the technical aspects of the film, such as its cinematography. The New York Times noted, "The film artistically captured glimpses of the grotesque attitudes toward death, the ferocity of hungry men, as well as their brutality." Kubrick began his career as a photojournalist for Look magazine. His black and white photographs were known for their careful composition and use of light and contrast. Beyond their technical quality, these photographs aimed to tell stories through urban situations and characters. In Fear and Desire, you can trace Kubrick's unique perspective, although the film's most striking element is its editing. Influenced by watching films and reading about Soviet montage theory, Kubrick uses a series of contrasting images to create a new sense of narrative. In several scenes, he speeds up the editing with abrupt cuts, adding drama and emphasizing symbolic aspects of the plot. Known for his perfectionism and rigorous self-criticism, Kubrick was never completely satisfied with Fear and Desire. After the film's release, he did everything possible to eliminate any trace of it, including destroying copies. In one of his letters, Kubrick called the film a clumsy amateur exercise and expressed his wish for it to remain unseen by the public. Later, in an interview, he said, "The ideas we were trying to convey were good, but we didn't have the experience to dramatize them." Fear and Desire is set in a fictional scenario during an unspecified war. From the outset, the realistic elements of war are combined with surreal and strongly psychological ones, something characteristic of Kubrick's later films. The clearest manifestation of this altered psychological state occurs when one of the soldiers kills a defenseless woman after harassing her. Additionally, this character shows signs of delirium by talking to himself and exhibiting visibly disturbed behavior. As the story progresses, his mental state becomes increasingly unstable and erratic, marked by a growing sense of psychological disintegration. After the initial credits, over images of a forest, we hear a narrator's voice. "There is a war in this forest, not a war that has been fought, nor one that will be, but any war, and the enemies who struggle here do not exist unless we call them into being." This forest then, and all that happens now, is outside history. Only the unchanging shapes of fear, doubt, and death are from our world. These soldiers that you see keep our language and our time, but have no other country but the mind. Thus, the events in the plot serve as an excuse to delve into the internal conflicts of these characters. Far from being one-dimensional heroes, the soldiers are presented as individuals tormented by their deepest fears. The film addresses themes like the irrationality of war, its aftermath on soldiers, and the moral complexity of human actions in a wartime context. These themes would be revisited by Kubrick in films like Paths of Glory from 1957 and Full Metal Jacket from 1987. Both in Fear and Desire and Paths of Glory, Kubrick presents a humanistic vision in response to the horrors of war. The difference between the two films is that Paths of Glory has a more concrete setting, taking place in France during World War I. In a way, Paths of Glory is a more successful example of portraying the dynamics of the military world during wartime. Later in his career, with Full Metal Jacket, Kubrick takes the exploration of the psychological effects of war to the limit, but with an ironic approach. Finally, we can't avoid mentioning Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, a satirical comedy that brilliantly captures the absurdity of the Cold War. This film combines war elements with comedy, offering a scathing critique of the nuclear arms race and the military politics of the time. To conclude, as Kubrick evolved as a filmmaker, his approaches and techniques became more sophisticated, delving into complex themes and elaborate symbolism. And while Fear and Desire is not among his best films, it offers an early glimpse of Kubrick's talent for capturing and questioning the dark realities of human experience. And this is why, although the film is rarely seen or mentioned, it is of great interest to those who wish to explore the early works of this influential filmmaker. If you've seen the film and want to share your thoughts, feel free to leave a comment below. And of course, if you enjoyed the video and want to support the channel, we invite you to subscribe.